when you focus on how you want to feel, then things change. Things change so much. And what I've also learned is that we can't trick ourselves. You can retrain your thoughts and things like that to support you. But if your deep down core feelings are, I want this, and you're saying, I want this, it will always be those deep down core feelings.
Hello, and welcome to Confidence Matters with me, Sue Reed. Now, today my guest is the lovely Wendy Tomlinson that I think I've known for about a year now, maybe. And Wendy is a mindset coach. She is also a master practitioner of EFT, which we will explain what that is if you haven't got a clue. She's a practitioner of the law of attraction as well. And she has her own publication. So she's a founder of the Substack publication, The Empowered Mindset. So welcome, Wendy. It's lovely to have you here. And this is my first episode of this podcast. So thank you for being the first, my guinea pig.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm very honoured that you've asked me to be the first person.
So did I miss anything out in that introduction? Is there anything you want to add?
No, I don't think so. I mean, my actual qualifications are I'm a life skills coach, law of attraction practitioner, EFT master practitioner. But I like to call myself a mindset coach because that is what I focus on. You know, that's my sort of like, help people to build a really positive mindset, bring their energy up so that they feel empowered to be the person they want to be, do the things that they want to do. So, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I get that because I think, it's great having all these qualifications. We kind of pick them up as we go along, but that's not really what people want to know. They want to know, can you help me? That's it, really. What do you do and can you help me? And can I trust you? Do I bond with you? That's what people are really interested in, which is why I call myself a confidence and self-belief coach, because I want people to believe in themselves and to build their confidence up from that point. But, I'm also an NLP practitioner. I've got 42 years in finance. I've got a hypnotherapy qualification, but I don't bother with all of that because it all comes into my coaching. So at the end of the day, I'm a life coach now, having had a previous career as a retail banker. Anyway. So one of the things we wanted to focus on today was clarity, but what and the importance of that, particularly when we're like setting intentions and goals for the future. But what I'd like to know first is what actually got you to this point? Why are you on this journey? What led you to it?
So I was actually trying to think about when I actually started the journey. I will say it was roughly sort of 16, 17 years ago. And the journey started from a need to kind of find myself again, because I'd lost myself. I'd lost who I was. I'd lost all sense of self-esteem. I didn't believe in myself. I felt invisible. I felt like I didn't matter in the world. And I had one particular day where I just stood crying in the bathroom. I was looking in the mirror at myself. My dad had recently died. And I just remember looking at myself in the mirror with tears flooding down my face. And it wasn't that initial grief. Enough time had passed that it wasn't that initial grief. It was just this huge realization that it's like, I don't know who you are anymore. You're not the version of, I wasn't the version of me that I wanted to be. I had the most amazing life on the surface. I had what a lot of people would think was the dream life, but I wasn't showing up as the person that I wanted to be. wasn't happy by any stretch of the imagination. And I realised that I was just going more and more sort of like into myself, like all the time, and just wasn't being true to who I was. You know, I didn't feel worthy, didn't feel valued, I didn't really feel anything, to be honest, other than miserable. You know, my son was quite young at the time, and I wasn't showing up in the way that I wanted to. I was never an awful person or anything like that. I was always, I think I was always a good mom, but I was so busy trying to be who I thought everybody else wanted me to be that I was just, I was doing so many things, but it was almost like mixed messages. You know, it was like, this person wants me to be this, I'll do this. This person wants me to do this, I'll do this. You know, and trying to put a little bit of me in the picture as well, and just getting it so wrong so that nobody was happy. You know, and I wasn't at all being the person that I wanted to be. And so that's where my story began. And it was sort of like, right, I want to find out how to kind of get back to being me, how to improve myself. And that's when I took my sort of life skills, sort of like training. The course was okay. It wasn't a fantastic course, but it started the journey for me, you know, and it was okay. And I started to like working a little bit with clients, but it was very much, you know, if you ask the right question, they know the answer, which I do agree with. I do agree with that in coaching, but I wanted to be able to give people things, you know, I wanted to be able to give them really solid tools and techniques that they could use. And that's when I came across the law of attraction. I was looking, I lived in Spain at the time, and I was looking for a book. There was an English bookshop, and I was looking for a book that I could send home to my mum to try and help her feel, you know, a bit happier as well. And I found The Secret. And I know that there are a lot of people in the law of attraction world that are like, oh, you know, The Secret's a load of rubbish. And I absolutely love it because it was the
It was of
starting.
its time, really. It was of its time. Things have
It
moved on a
was,
lot
and it was
since
the
then.
starting point for me. And I think that's all that book was ever supposed to be, a starting point. It's not the whole picture. And from there, I researched every single person that was involved in that, you know, because it's lots of different speakers if you're not familiar, you know, if people are not familiar with it. And I learned lots of different things, found the people that I resonated the most with. And then it was like, I want to be able to sort of share this through my coaching practice. I want to be able to give people tools that are going to help them based around the law of attraction. And so that's when I went on to do the law of attraction training, and it took me 2 years. It was a self-paced course, but it was a lot of interaction with tutors as well. There were lots of different tutors, and lots of people sort of like did that course in a really short time, and I just sort of like really, really took in everything that was, and it was like a penny drop in every single time I did anything to do with the course. And it's like, this is like making me whole again. This is like
Yeah.
the jigsaw puzzle is all coming together and all that kind of thing. So for me, that was like a real turning point in my life, what I felt I could offer to other people, to
Yeah.
just the, a lot of people when they talk about the law of attraction, it's about, you know, attracting, you know, really, really big sort of like physical things. You know, people want the money. I remember somebody saying to me once, it was during my training, and they said to me, oh, you know, if you're doing all this law of attraction stuff, why aren't you living in some great big mansion? And at the time, I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment that I loved, and I later moved to a much, much bigger villa, and wasn't anywhere near as happy in that place.
Yeah.
But but it was people's, sometimes people misunderstand sort of thing, how the law of attraction works. But for me, it was never, the priority for me to attract physical things. It was to help me feel my best, to feel like I was, being the person that I wanted to be, to feel loved, to give myself love, to get back to that place where those things were possible. And, for me to be absolutely on top of the world sort of thing, rather than have all these wonderful things, but feel absolutely rubbish about myself. So
Yeah.
that is my story.
Yeah, yeah. So I think, I mean, first of all, I think, you said that it took you 2 years, whereas some people were doing the course in a very short time. I think sometimes when we are supposed to be there. So some people will take a course just to get a qualification, just so, because the law of attraction, everybody thinks, oh, I can do this, and then I can show people how they can have, big houses and cars and money and da da da. And it doesn't work like that, like you've said. But some people are really drawn to where they're supposed to be. So I think I find it, for me, I'm called to do things. And that's why you found it so interesting, because you were taking in so much and it was resonating
Mm.
with your soul, because this is what you were called to do. So, I think when you get to that point, you're on the right path, this is where I'm supposed to be. And the other thing, I think, with the law of attraction, a lot of people hear that sentence and they think, oh God, it's all woo woo, it doesn't work, because they might have tried it and it didn't work for them. So now they think it didn't work. But I think if we called it brain training or subconscious training, it would be a little bit more scientific and it
I
would make a
know.
lot more sense.
It's funny. It's funny that you should say that, because for quite a long while I stopped talking about the law of attraction. I stopped writing about the law of attraction. It was always still built into everything that I wrote, but I didn't use those words because, people do. If I say, oh, I'm a law of attraction practitioner, I help people use the law of attraction to be the person they want to be, to create a life that they love. And they look at me and it's like, oh, she's talking like woo woo, I don't know what she's talking about. And I am the most feet on the floor, practical person ever. Because this is one of the reasons why I chose to call my publication The Empowered Mindset, because to me it is sort of like the law of attraction empowers you. And I have, things like affirmations, EFT tapping, which is an energy technique, visualizations, all of those things. They are tools and techniques that can help you to use the law of attraction. But there are millions and millions of people in the world who love themselves, love their life, and they've never even heard of the law of attraction. They don't know what it is. They probably do just think, oh, it's some woo-woo thing. And that's absolutely fine. I wrote a post recently to sort of like say to people, I don't expect you to believe me. I don't want you to just believe everything that I say. What I want you to do is just come with curiosity and try the things that I'm suggesting. Because if I say to people, oh, do you want to try these law of attraction exercises with me? There are some people that will go, oh no, that sounds a bit weird for me. But if I say to people, do you want to try these exercises that are going to make you, help you to feel better about yourself, help you to love yourself more, help you to feel empowered to go and do the things that you want in your life, create the life that you like every day, not just those like 2-week holidays, then that's a different thing altogether. I always feel a bit so like, should I talk about the law of attraction? Should I not? Then I do think some people just love anything law of attraction and it does appeal to them.
Yeah, yeah, it's a mixture, isn't it? And I mean, the thing is, I think because we're going to talk about clarity in a minute, and I think that's so important. But if we strip it right back and think like about wishes, so some people will make their wishes at the new moon, which again, you could say that's a bit woo-woo, like writing down what you want for the month when there's a new moon. And then some people will make New Year's resolutions, which that sounds a lot more logical because that's something that it's a habit, it's what we do. But how many people actually realize their New Year's resolutions? Probably nobody, hardly anybody, because it's something, we're not, when we're working on our subconscious works in feelings and images. So if you're just writing something down, putting it in a drawer and forgetting about it, it's never going to happen because you're not feeling it. You're not feeling how you would feel if it came to pass. So, if I make a resolution that I want to lose weight, which is a common one after Christmas. What are you doing about it? Like, how are you feeling into that? Are you looking at clothes that are one size smaller than you normally wear, thinking what you're going to look like when you fit into it, looking at maybe old photos of yourself? You have to feed all that into your subconscious because then it picks up what you're looking for. And that's really where the attraction is, because you are putting these energy messages out, because we're energy, we're sending out energy all the time. The science has proved that there's energy all around us in the universe. That is a fact now, it's been proven. And those messages we're sending out are saying, this is what I want to focus on. And so it comes back to you as long as you are, and you have to be like vibrating at the right level. So you have to be a positive person. If you're wanting something and walking around going, yeah, but I've never got any money. Yeah, but I can't really lose weight. I'm trying to lose weight, but I can't resist cream cakes. Again, it's not going to happen because and this is where the clarity comes into it. So perhaps we'll get onto that subject. What do we mean when we talk about clarity?
Sorry, excuse me. So clarity, it is just having that really clear idea about what it is that you want. And that doesn't necessarily mean, so let's say somebody wants a new house. They want to upgrade where they live. They want this dream house. So some people might be able to say, oh, I want a big, so like open plan living area. I want the garden to be exactly like this, and give very, very specific details. But what I've found over the years, and what I've found with myself, is certainly when you're starting from a place of not loving yourself, just feeling miserable in the life that you've created or you've kind of fallen into, because I certainly don't blame anyone else for being in that situation. I allowed it to happen, but when you're coming from that place of very low energy, a very low self-worth, then a lot of the times those kind of things like, the big house, they're not important to people. And what they want is to just feel different. And so you can sort of say, there is these things in my life that I am really, really super clear on that I want. But a lot of people say to me, I don't actually know what I want. I just know I want to feel different. And this is the key. This is always the key, because when you focus on how you want to feel, then things change. Things change so much. And what I've also learned is that we can't trick ourselves. Your heart, you can retrain your thoughts and things like that to support you. But if your deep down core feelings are, I want this, and you're saying, I want this, it will always be those deep down core feelings. And sometimes those core feelings are very, very mixed up. And it's sort of like saying, okay, this is what I know. So this is where I need to stay. So then that's where we can use like mindset techniques, energy techniques to kind of go, actually, that place isn't a good place. We want to come back to a place that feels really good for us. And so when, for example, somebody was speaking to me a few days ago about that, they didn't like the job and they wanted to leave their job, but they didn't know where they wanted to go. So I said, well, rather than focus on where you want to go, why don't you focus on how you want to feel, how you want to be treated within that role, and rather than picking a specific company and aiming for that company, because they might get there and not have those things. They might be treated really bad, or they might not have lovely supportive people to work with, and if that's something that they want, they might not have the career prospects that they really want, so that they can feel that ongoing sense of achievement. So when I talk about clarity, it's great to have like a very fixed thing, but what I find is most important is to have that this is how I want to feel.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't need to be, it's not something that's set in stone either. Because if you think back to when you were like 18, I imagine that the things that you wanted then are not the same as what you want now.
No.
And so I think we need to review sort of like what we want on a regular basis. And when things show up, you like, oh, I like this. This feels really good. Yes, I want to go in this direction. I like this. And that is getting clarity all the time. And then it's something that you sort of, I thought I wanted that, but that doesn't feel quite right for me. You can sort of like look at it and sort of like, right, okay, which bit of this don't I like? Which bit do I like? And again, that gives you more clarity. But and you can keep sort of like tweaking things as you go along. And the universe, I find, sort of like sends you little bits to sort of like see, oh, am I on the right track?
Yeah.
And you have to
Yeah.
keep sort of like questioning, oh yeah, is this what I like? And let the universe know, yes, this is what I like, or oh no, that's not quite right. Let's tweak this and go with this instead. But so that's like a sort of like how I see clarity.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think when you are on the right path, it feels right, and things just, you can see things clicking into place. Like, the guy that wanted to change his job, as soon as he starts thinking about what job he wants, and if he can visualize himself and almost feel himself there, this is how I want to be treated, which again is feeling, which your subconscious works on feelings. And so you're sending a message to your subconscious that says that this is how I want to feel in this new job. And then that sends out the right energy, which brings the job to you. So then it starts to click into place. You think, okay, like, yeah, you go for like a job interview, and whether you get it or not, you think to yourself, this feels right. And then as soon as you think this feels right, you're sending out that energy that your interviewer, without even realizing it, will pick up. And their subconscious is reading, this person likes this company. This person actually would probably work hard here. And they don't realize they're thinking that, but it's all coming from their subconscious, which we don't have a lot of control over what our subconscious is doing. That's why we have to feed it these little bits of information via images and feelings, because that's what it understands. I always think it's useful to think of like bits of your body as different entities that you can converse with, because they are all working separately to us, really. I mean, your heart's beating without you controlling it at all. So you have to like think of things as separate. I mean, at the moment I've got a problem with my hip, so I'm talking to my hip every morning and asking it how it's feeling and what does it need today, which sounds a bit weird. but it works for me because it's beginning to
Yeah.
feel a lot better because I'm giving it love, and that's what every part of you needs, that love, because we're all energy.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yes. But I don't think we 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 can get so busy, can't we? And we forget that we're important, and we
Yeah.
forget that, you know, yes, we need to take care of ourselves, but we also just need to give ourselves so much love as well. And I think we do all get so busy. I get busy, and then I start to feel a bit off, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe I need to pay some attention to me again.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you have to listen to the signals, because again, your body is sending you signals all the time, saying like, we need to rest now, we need to stop doing this. We need to, get something to eat now or get a drink now. Your body will tell you what it needs, but we have to
Mm.
pay attention. So what is really, because when you're talking about this, you can see you lighting up. It really, really is part of you now. So what do you think drives you to do this? What's the main reason for you?
Do you know what? I was thinking about this earlier on, and this is going to sound like a little bit cliche, but a lot of it is my son, because I want him to go out and just be the best version of himself that he can possibly be, and to always believe that he can do whatever he wants. He can, I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I mean that in a, if he wants to achieve something that maybe seems a little bit out of his reach, I want him to believe he can do that. And yesterday he had an interview for deputy manager of the place that he works. He works in luxury student accommodation. He loves the job, absolutely loves it. And he's only been there just over a year. But I've been so proud about how he's approached the job and how he's shown up and everything. And he said to me, he said, he'd got all these questions that they'd given him that were kind of like the base questions, that he could prepare for. And he said, oh, I'm a little bit nervous that what if I forget, sort of thing on the spot, what if I
Yeah, yeah.
forget what I'm going to say? I said, the thing is, you know what you're talking about because it's lived experience. And so it's not like you've got to memorize something, and you can draw on your own experience and say whatever comes up. And that for me is, when I talk about things like this, that is how I feel for myself, because I'm not making it up. I'm not relying on something that I've kind of read in a book 5 minutes ago and having to memorize it. I'm speaking from experience, and it does light me up. I can remember my son, as he has always been my inspiration, because I can't expect him to believe in himself if I don't believe in me. And I can't expect him to go out and show up well in the world, or my clients, or anyone that is reading any of my work. I can't expect them to kind of believe anything I'm saying if I'm not doing that myself, if I'm not believing it, if I'm not showing up. I'm not a sort of like sciencey person. So if somebody says to me, oh, is the law of attraction sort of like science based? I'm like, it's applied quantum physics, but that's it. That's as far as I go. and I don't need all of the theory. I just want to try things in my own life, see how they feel for me, and then pass those things on to other people. That is very much how I work. And sometimes things that work for me don't work for other people. So we can then explore, oh, what about trying this instead, and see if that works better for you. You know, that's the kind of thing. But yeah, my inspiration has definitely always been my son. And he came home one day. He was probably in his last year at primary school, so like 10, 8, around age
Yeah.
10. And he came home and he had these questions, and he said, who do you know that is passionate about what they do? And he said me. And I was like, oh my, I'm so pleased that he said that, you know, because I'm so pleased that that translates to him
Yeah.
at such a young age. I mean, he's grown up now. He's 24 and about to leave home for good. He went off to
Oh.
university and then came back, so I didn't really lose him fully, but he's about to sort of go off, you know, have his own home and everything. But yeah, he has definitely been my inspiration.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So what about the future then? So and that's the other thing, because you've got your publication on Substack. Are you anywhere else? I think you've got a
Yes,
YouTube channel as well, haven't you?
yeah, I have to rein myself in sometimes because I I I have I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. My son's got ADHD, and I see that as a really positive thing for him, and I see that as a really positive thing for me, because it's hereditary. And it was so, like, when they were telling us about it, it was like, you definitely got that from me. But one of the things that that brings is that you can kind of jump from one thing to another because you're so passionate about, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do the other. So I have to kind of constantly kind of rein myself in, and like, and this again comes back to clarity. What do I want? How do I want to show up? What can I give people that is going to, you know, help the most? So because I've been doing this for a long time, and I had some sort of like really rubbish blogs early on in the journey that sort of like
We do,
came and
yeah.
went. You know, I don't think, I mean, the platforms don't even exist anymore, and I've tried all sorts of things over the years, and again, things come and go, don't they, over the years, and things become less popular, they work less, or you know, some things come along that work better. But the reason I love Substack so much is because it feels like home for me.
Yeah.
And I tried, because it's so much more than just a newsletter. And I tried sort of like building newsletters, and I at one point I had, oh, probably around 7,000 people on a newsletter, and
Wow.
I just stopped it, and I just cancelled it completely. And I
Yeah.
hated it. You know, it was you know, one that it was a good service that I was using. I was paying for it, and I constantly felt that pressure to be like selling things to people, and it felt like I was selling. Obviously, in any business, you do need to be selling things, but it felt like I was literally just like pushing things on people. Whereas now it's like, hey, I'm going to tell you about this, I've got, you know, I've got my coaching, I've got some courses, I've got some downloads, I've got my paid membership. And it feels nice. It feels like I'm talking to a friend. So what I've been doing over the last couple of months is trying to sort of like have Substack as my main base, and then all the other places that I have things. How do I want this to work with the empowered mindset? How do I want it all to tie in? So I've got my YouTube channel that I was posting on 3 times a week, and it got too much for me. I was doing it so like for quite a while, because again, I'd had the YouTube channel for a long time. Then I sort of let it die off for a couple of years, so like probably around the time of the pandemic, that kind of
Yeah.
time. And I really wanted to sort of like go back to that. But what I felt was happening was I was like, oh, I need to do another video, and I wasn't happy with what I was putting out because it felt rushed. So now, as long as I put a video out, it's like every 2 weeks, I'm going to be happy with that. But I want it to be I want to give it some real thought about how it's going to tie in with the content that I put out on, on the empowered mindset, because I don't tend to have a specific theme with my free posts that go out on a Tuesday, but I follow a theme generally during the month. So this month it is focusing on self-worth. Next month in December I'm going to be focusing more on gratitude, and then going into the new year, talking more about a broad sense, goal setting and how to achieve the things that you want. But it will be very much from a mindset point of view, that kind of thing. So I want my YouTube channel to tie in with that. I have some downloads that I sell on Etsy, and they just kind of sit there. So at the moment I'm revamping them, so that we'll have them on Etsy and on Gumroad. I've just launched my first mini course, which is Reclaim Your Self-Esteem, and then I've got lots of smaller downloads. So I'm in the process of revamping a lot of the things that are older things, so that they very much tie in with the empowered mindset, and it all flows together. But that's kind of the place I want people to end up. And then I have a blog that I've had for years and years and years, and it's been through so many changes. I had 4 blogs at one point, focusing on different things. And because this is where I get carried away with myself. I'm like, oh, I love this, I'll do this, I'll try this. So I sold one of the blogs, which was purely a business blog, focusing on business mindset. Had a lot of other people write on there as well. So I sold that quite a few years ago. Then I had one that was focusing on weight loss mindset. Weight loss is something that I've struggled with a lot in the past. I still do to a certain extent, because even though it's something that I want, it's not always something that is the thing that I want the most.
Yeah.
Mostly the things that I want the most are obviously connected with, my family life, things like that, and the way that I feel, and my business. Although I think of the law of attraction and weight loss and the energy stuff, it's kind of what you've got to do. It's the same if someone gives you a healthy eating plan. What you've got to do. You've got to eat healthier. You've got to move your body more and things like that. Things take over. And that is the same when you're looking at the law of attraction and weight loss. You can't just sit and visualize things or go, oh, right, I'm really clear about what I want. I want to get into this size 8 dress. I want to look absolutely stunning in all my clothes and everything like that. But actually, I'm going to sit on the sofa and I'm going to work all day, and I'm not going to move my body, because that's the thing that I'm really passionate about. So yes, you definitely can use the law of attraction, EFT, affirmations, all that kind of thing to help motivate you. And that's very much what I talked about one of the blogs. And so I kind of combined them at one time. And what I've been doing over the last couple of months is moving anything off that blog that is no longer aligned with me. I don't want to talk about weight loss. I don't want to talk about blogging, which was another thing that I did talk about quite a lot. So what my intention is because my blog is called Life and Business with Wendy, and my intention is to mostly focus on business mindset on that blog moving forward. There will be some there's a post on there, how to reduce stress in your daily life. So things like that will stay on there, because your business is not just your business. Your business is a part of your life as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
You are your brand.
sometimes
Yeah,
your business does cause you stress, sort of thing. I'm
yeah,
not a techie person
yeah.
at all. So if something techie comes up in my business, I go into a complete state of panic. And thankfully on my blog, I've got a fantastic team that support me. And so now I can just go, can you sort this out, please? And they do it. But in the past, years and years ago, before I had them, I would literally be in floods of tears crying. And so, you know, although yes, that is a business mindset, and we do EFT for business things on there as well, and it all ties in to the bigger picture of your life, doesn't it? Your business, it's
Yeah,
part of your life.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, on the weight loss side, obviously that, like you said, it's not your priority. And it could be that you're just comfortable in your life and you think, I don't actually, in my heart, I don't need to lose weight. It's just that everybody's society's saying I should look a certain way. But I think
yeah,
often where people really do want to lose weight and they are, and it is making them depressed, there's usually, I find, well, not usually, always, there's an underlying reason
there
why
is,
they can't lose
there is.
weight, why their body feels the need to hold on to food, and why they comfort eat. So that is something, that can be explored and easily, well, not always easily, but it's simple but not always easy
Yeah,
to sort out.
and it's
But
funny
yeah,
when
carry
when I
on,
was
sorry.
very focused on that blog,
Yeah,
because yeah, I mean, there was a time when I was a lot bigger than I am, sort of like now.
yeah, yeah,
Yes, I would like to lose a little bit more, but I'm very comfortable with how I
yeah,
am. I feel so, I feel happy in my own body, and for me, that is the most important thing.
yeah,
I am confident in my body. I feel happy with my body, love my body. When I was focused on the weight loss, it was very much mindset. I was always very honest with people to say I am definitely still on this journey. I'm not a weight loss coach or anything like that, but these are some mindset tools, these are some energy techniques that you can use. And definitely during that time, I was a lot more mindful about the things that I ate. I ate so much better. I mean, for me, my biggest thing is, because I want to get so much done. I'm the kind of person who would literally get up in the morning and work on, my various content, sort of like creation, or, whether doing coaching work or anything like that. I would work on my business until I went to bed. And I'm definitely the kind of person, I will go and I will put a meal on to cook and it will burn
yeah. That's not a good way. That is not a good way.
because I'm so focused. But I love, you know what I mean? I love what I do, and I know I've learned over the years. Right? Okay, you have to not do that. You have to kind of rein yourself in. And I have my little book where I write down, this is what I want to do. This is what these are ideas that I've got.
Yeah,
Let's close that book now and let's go and focus on making a nice meal and just make the nice meal.
yeah,
Let's focus on going spending time with friends and family and just focus on them. Those sorts of things.
yeah,
But my nature is to just go, "Oh, I want to do this and I want to do it now," sort of
yeah, yeah,
thing.
yeah,
So, but it's not a good, you're absolutely right. It's not a good place to be. I mean, years and years ago, that is what I did. My son was still fairly young at the time, so I would work all day because I was making enough to for it to be my only business, and I would work all day while my son was away, at school, and then I would obviously, focus on him, but I would be distracted. And he said to me one day, he said, "Mum," he said, "I don't want to watch films with you anymore." Films have always been a really big thing, like going to the cinema, watching film,
yeah,
having a film night at home. And he said, I don't want to watch films with you anymore. And he was only young. Say he would have been so like 10, 11 at the time. And I was distraught. I was like, oh my gosh, why? Why don't you want to watch films with me? This is this is our thing.
Yeah.
And he said, because like you're still on your laptop, you're still like doing things on
You're
your
not with him.
phone.
Yeah, you're there, but you're
And
not with him. Yeah.
and I was horrified. It was a real wake up call for me.
Yeah.
And so it's like, right, okay. And so then from there it was like, right, this is your time. And once I kind of recognized that, because we can get on these treadmills very easily, can't we? Where we think that we need to be doing more, and so much on the internet over the years has been hustle, get your side hustle going, keep hustling for the next sale. And actually I find that very destructive, because actually once I realized what I was doing, and that I was literally, I was probably getting about 5 hours in bed each night, because the rest of the time I was trying to work around my son. And once I kind of realized, oh my gosh, this is not healthy, this is not working, and actually I'm not that productive. Once I kind of took a step back from that, it's like, right, you're going to be in bed ready to go to sleep 8 hours before you need to go to bed. I mean, that idea, it was like, I can't do that. I haven't got time for that. But I thought, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. That was something that I learned from Brian Tracy, who I absolutely love.
Yeah.
He is amazing when it comes to like productivity. So I learned that from him, and I made it a rule that I was in bed, going to, resting, going to sleep 8 hours before I needed to get up. And I made it a rule that when it was time with my son, it was time with my son. And if I'm making a meal, I'm making a meal. I'm not working at the same time, that kind of thing. If I'm seeing family, I'm seeing family. I'm not on my phone checking every 5 minutes. And once I did that, even if that meant, for whatever reason, I could only work on my business for like an hour a day, that's what I did. And I also started to, again, this is where like clarity comes in, because it's like, right, what do I want to achieve today? What is the most important thing for me to do?
Yeah.
I mean, the most important thing to do is always my son, my family, that kind of thing. But within my business, what is the most important thing for me to do today? And I do that first. Whatever time I can start work on my business, I do that first, because then if the rest of the day gets taken up with other things, and I've always had this thing, unless it is a specific thing like this where we're booked in for a specific time, if one of my family members knocks on my door and says, oh, hey, I was just passing, are we okay for a quick cup of tea and everything? I have got time.
Yeah.
I've got time to talk to my elderly neighbour if, they want a 5-minute chat. Even if I'm rushing, I've got that time. And I make sure now in my life that I have those times, because they're precious. And when I kind of like evaluated around that time, when I evaluated, right, okay, this isn't working for me or my son, and it's actually not working in my business either, and got that real clarity. What are the things that are important to me? Having lovely neighbours that I can absolutely depend on 100%. That is so important to me. I love where I live. I love my neighbours, and I feel so safe and so supported by people around me. But I've invested in those relationships, and I had a situation last year where I was absolutely rushing, and I had bags, shopping bags with me and everything. And my neighbour from across the road, he had dementia, but he always remembered me and he always remembered my name. And I could see that he wanted to talk. So I put the bags back in the car and I went over to talk to him. And, and in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I've got so much to do. But it was like, no, stop. This is what's important to you. This matters to you that you have wonderful neighbours, and it matters to to me, that you make time for these people. And I went over, I spoke to him, and then a few minutes later, his son arrived, and so he went off, with his son, and that was the end of that. It was 5 minutes out of my
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
and
Which meant so
that
much to him, but
it
he could
did,
have
it
just
did,
said, "Oh, sorry, I'm busy," and gone in. Yeah.
no, it's okay, it's okay. That night, he got taken into hospital, and he never
Oh,
came out.
oh
And
no.
I
Oh,
just, and it was so sad, but it was something, that was kind of
yeah,
expected, sort of
yeah.
thing.
Oh,
But I just can remember feeling so grateful that I didn't just think, oh, I'm so busy, I haven't got time. Hi, quick wave,
yeah,
hi,
yeah,
I've got to
yeah,
go, which
yeah.
is so easy to do, isn't it? Um, so just taking that time, and that meant the world. But if I hadn't had that time where I'd sat down with myself and just like, right, okay, what is important to you? That might not have happened.
You
No,
have
and
to do that. Yeah,
yeah, I do those check-ins regularly. I mean, sometimes I do them daily. What's important to you? Things are feeling a little bit off for me. What's important to you? What is it you want? What do you want to feel? How do you want to show up? Those questions, I ask the same questions all the time, and it's so important.
definitely, definitely. So before we finish off, I did say at the beginning we would, or you would, explain what EFT was to anybody that did, because I don't want people to be watching the podcast thinking, she still hasn't said what EFT is.
What's she talking about? Oh, okay. So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, and it is a simple tapping process that works with your energy body. So we tap on different points. The main points that I use. Some practitioners use different points, and I will use some different points depending on what we're tapping on. If somebody's got something really deep that they want to release, I will add in some extra points. But the general points that I use, it's the side of the hand, and this is where I say my setup. This is where I say why we're tapping. And sometimes you see, if you've ever seen any EFT sessions, there are amazing people doing EFT, but sometimes I could only do the sessions before I became a practitioner. I could only do the sessions if I was watching the video, because I couldn't remember all the things that I needed to do.
Yeah.
So we don't need to make them overcomplicated. We can say, tap on the side of the hand. And if you've got something going on, let's focus on clarity. If you've got something on, you sort of think, oh, I don't really know what I want. I want more clarity around this particular situation. You can tap here and you can say, right, I want more clarity around this situation about, what's the right thing for me to do in this situation. Just want more clarity. And that's it. You set your intention. You told the universe, you told your energy body, this is what I want. Your subconscious mind, it's all working together. It's not a separate thing. And then I would just literally say more clarity at each tapping point. So more clarity, top of the head. This is the forehead. So this is known as the third eye here, but forehead point. More clarity, the eyebrow. It doesn't matter if you do this side or both. Entirely up to you. Side of the eye, more clarity. Under the eye, more clarity. Tip of the nose, more clarity. Under the nose, more clarity. So some people call this the chin point, but to me the chin's here. So I would say it's under the mouth. It's the bit between your lip and the
That
bottom of
goes
your
in.
chin.
Yeah.
I have a line here that we always used to call the sad smile because it's an upside down smile. So it's just under the mouth, tapping there, and we're tapping gently. We don't need to tap hard. So the collarbone area. Some people like to tap here. It's just a gentle. It's a connection. It's not. You're not hitting. You're gently connecting with each point. And some people like make a fist. I just personally like to just tap in this area, tap in the collarbone, more clarity, and then I'm back to the side of the hand. So you'll sometimes see people tapping here.
Yeah, I've seen the
So
shoulders, arms, and everything.
yeah, so I train with Sylvia Hartman, it's the Guild of Energists, and she and her team have done so much research. They do so much research into all kinds of different things, but they found that this point wasn't needed because certainly for women, certainly for women who are maybe a little bit larger around here,
Maybe
it's a
a
hard
start.
point
No.
to get to. No, it's a hard point, and it's an awkward, uncomfortable
Yeah,
point for
yeah.
a lot of people. And so they dropped it. And I always say to people, do you know what? If you can't remember the points, just tap on the side of the hand, tap on the collarbone, tap on any of the points. If you get them jumbled up, a lot of people finish with the top of the head. But for me, the sequence works well, the way I showed you, and the top of the head is
Yeah,
like
to complete the
the,
circle sort of thing. Yeah.
yeah. And for me, that works well. So there aren't any set rules. Some people say very specific things. And when EFT first started to, be popular, it was very much focusing on the problem. And you'd always say things like, even though we'll use clarity again, even though I'm not clear about what to do in this situation, I deeply love and accept myself. And I do use the words, I deeply love and accept myself quite a lot in my EFT scripts, but only when we're focusing on things like building self-worth, building more self-love into your daily life, because it's important, that message, that tapping into that energy of self-love and, I love and accept myself. That's important. But if you're tapping on a spider phobia, it's not important that you deeply love and accept yourself. And actually, that can distract from what you're tapping on. You can not have self-love, but you can still work on a spider phobia, which is something I've done, actually. I still don't like spiders, but I've used EFT over the years to reduce that fear. So now I can kind of be in the same room and not be absolutely hysterical, and I can deal with, I can take the little spider outside or whatever. But I used to walk into a room and scan the room for spiders because I was
Yeah, my friend
so
does that.
terrified of them.
I
But
think
yeah,
if
it's
you come
kind
in
of,
my house, there's spiders everywhere. There's
yeah.
loads of them.
Well,
They
I mean,
just
I
live
live in the
here.
countryside, so you're going to get spiders. But you can use EFT to reduce any feeling that you don't want. So in that case, it's a real fear. It's a completely irrational fear when you have a phobia. So you can reduce that feeling so that you get to the point that you're okay with that. And I could carry on tapping even more. So the place I want to be is I'm okay with spiders. I don't want to love spiders.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
don't carry on tapping.
That's fine, isn't
But
it?
when we take an emotion, like I feel really, really sad, we can tap to release that feeling, get to a place that is like, I'm okay. I don't feel sad anymore, but I don't feel happy. I'm okay. And sometimes okay is that's good enough.
Yeah.
Depending on what the situation is, sometimes
Yeah.
okay is a really good place to be.
You can't force
But
yourself to be happy if you're sad, can
no,
you?
but then we can start tapping to start moving towards actually I feel happy. I feel
Yeah.
happy now.
Yeah.
Sometimes that is a gradual process, but when I'm doing the EFT, and when I'm doing things like affirmations, anything like that, any of the mindset work, I'm always aiming from to start where you are. It doesn't matter where you are, start where you are, and we're aiming for a better feeling. We
Yeah.
don't need to go from I feel absolutely rubbish to I feel absolutely amazing on top of the
Because it's just
world.
not going to happen. It's
Um,
not going to happen.
it can happen very, very briefly, sort of thing, but when we look at it like that, I think it's much more manageable for people because if, with affirmations, if you're feeling like, well, I don't feel any self-love for myself. I don't feel um I don't feel worthy. I don't feel like I'm valuable in the world. If you've got those sorts of feelings going on, they're probably very deep rooted, and we want to learn. We want to tap to release those, and just gradually step up. Because if you're aiming for, oh, I'm right up here all the time, what I've found is people tend to beat themselves up, not literally, but like they do this mind chatter, and it's like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why can't I be happy all the time? And that's not realistic. I'm not happy all the time. I've been doing these
No.
techniques for years and years and years. I've been doing mindset work for years. I've been doing energy work for years. But I have days where I'm not happy. And, sometimes I let myself completely wallow in it for a little while. But thankfully, with the tools that I've got, I can sort of go, oh, okay, you've had enough time here.
Yeah.
Let's start making a shift. But I'm not instantly going for, I feel absolutely amazing. Aiming for, okay, let's feel a little bit better, a
Mm.
little bit better, a little bit better. And sometimes we can't put a name to the feeling that we have. And I think that's quite important for people to understand. All emotions are normal, but we can't always give it a name.
No.
So like sometimes it's like, right, like where am I feeling this? If I'm anxious, I can feel it here. I feel it in my like jaws. I tend to even if I don't feel stressed or anything like that, I wake up and my jaws are feeling
I
achy.
get
So
that. Yeah.
I need to do some sort of like tapping on stress. Release this stress, release any anxiety that I've got going on. But so we can definitely use it to release low emotions and release things like limiting beliefs because they create an emotion. We can use it for that, get to an okay place, and then work on better feeling, better feeling, better feeling. But we can also go straight in to those better feelings. There's been a lot of research. I still like to do releasing work for a lot of things because I find it's almost like a journey for people. And it's like, oh, I've let that go now.
Mm.
I'm ready to move on to
Yeah. Yeah.
something better. But I use EFT, I would say every day. There might be the odd day that I don't, but at some stage through most days, I will do some EFT, even if that is just a quick, you know, I'm doing great, everything's great. And, like if I'm nervous about something, it will be, I'm calm, I'm relaxed, I've got this, I can do this. I love combining EFT with affirmations
Yeah,
because
yeah.
what it does is it releases the resistance, releases any kind of doubt, and it just helps you sort of step into a place of allowing. So I'm never going to guarantee to someone if they sort of start tapping on, oh, I feel abundant, I feel prosperous, I feel wealthy. I'm not going to say to people, you will definitely tomorrow, you'll be a millionaire by tomorrow, you'll have it all sorted. But what it's doing is it's releasing those blocks, so that you're not putting energy blocks, you're not putting emotional blocks, limitations in your way, so that you are open to things that are there for you already, and you're not putting up these blocks for them to come into your life. So it's just aligning yourself with everything. I
Yeah.
had I have a friend who was telling me, and she's not always open to my suggestions, so I don't tend to give her too many. I drop things in. Oh, excuse me. I drop things in discreetly without her kind of realizing sometimes.
Mm.
And she was complaining to me about a particular service that she has, and she was saying, oh, they're absolutely useless, and they've always been useless. Whenever I get in touch with them, they're always useless. I'm going to switch to somebody else because they're absolutely useless. I have exactly the same service, and I get an amazing service from them. I always speak to someone really nice if ever because problems do happen. That's part of life. So if ever I phone up and sort of say, oh, I need this sorting, can we get this sorted? Oh, absolutely, right, we'll get this sorted. And I always feel like I'm getting a really, really good service. And so I'm sort of like sat reading her messages, because she'll message me and tell me about all these
Yeah,
things
yeah,
that
yeah,
they're useless at. And I part of me is sort of like smiling, thinking, well, I know exactly why you're
you're
attracting
doing
this
wrong. Yeah,
really
yeah,
awful service. And so I said to her, I said, oh, yes, maybe it might be a good idea for you to switch. So what is it that you want from the new service that you're not getting now? Because that was the only way I could kind of bring it in a way
yeah,
that she would be sort of open to.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Yeah, because she's programming them to give her bad service because she's saying that's what she wants,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
basically. Um, well, brilliant. This has been absolutely brilliant. So interesting. So thank you for being here. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you, the best way to get in touch with you would be through Substack then.
It would, yes. The
Yeah.
empowered mindset, yeah.
The Empowered Mindset, or just look at Wendy Tomlinson and
Yeah.
you'll find her, I'm sure. So it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for being my first
Thank
guest.
you too. Thank you.
Bless
It's
you.
always lovely talking to you.
Oh, right. I'm going to stop the video.